Moshe says an amazing, amazing, amazing point, a fundamental. He says, God, El, the God of all living beings, one person is going to transgress, and then you're going to get upset among the entire people. In other words, how can you hold the entire group accountable when only one person is who messed up? Which is fascinating, because again, this is a fundamental in Judaism, that each person, gets what they deserve. One person does not take the burden of other people's transgressions. That's not justice. Okay?
But if the other people are following this one man, why shouldn't they receive punishment for it as well?
Well, just because they follow doesn't mean that they're doing the same thing as he is. The one who's leading the rebellion, the one who's talking, the one who's really challenging is Korah.
So because...
And the Tam Va'aviram, by the way.
Right. And they're explicitly mentioned as,
key people,
and directly negating what Moshe Rabbeinu was even saying, and they're also very open and brazen in their response to him.
Yeah, we're not coming to see you.
Yes.
Because again, they felt that since they are representatives of the firstborn tribe, they're entitled. This is something important to understand.
Okay.
Other authors wrote about this in the past. The Torah, as well as in the Tanakh, challenges and debunks this whole concept that a person who's a firstborn, you're automatically entitled. No, you're not. Your merit is based on your doings. That's what it's about.
So where does the idea come from? And it seems to be also an idea that's prevalent even in our day and age.
Yeah, that idea comes from early societies, as well as pagan societies. The first of anything has special status. And we have this in the Torah, as well as in other Semitic religions, that the first crop, the first vine, the first animal, okay, as well as the first son. What was the position of the firstborn son in general? Is that he would pretty much, when he becomes a more mature adult in his 30s, whatever it is, he is the one who would pretty much carry the burden of taking care of the family once the father retires or dies. So he would be the one who would continue the clan. So the burden was on him. Hence, he would get more of an inheritance than other siblings because he needs to support. He's in charge of the finances and making sure that the clan was able to continue to exist.
Okay.
That was pretty much, the understanding. Were there times where if a firstborn son didn't want or couldn't handle that burden and responsibility, he'd be able to sell the position? Yes. That was also something common that was done in Semitic countries. We know this today based on archaeology, on official tablets that were found in Ugarit and as well as in Ebla, which is northwestern Syria, Lebanon. Thousands and thousands of clay tablets, mainly dealing with legalities, by the way. Inheritance, marriage, divorce, business, lawsuits.
Civil.
And this was also something. So going back to what Yaakov did with Esav, telling Esav, sell it to me, sell me that responsibility, that was nothing original. That was something very common that would happen. Esav never objected to the company. He says, where are you getting this idea from? I'm going to sell. Esav doesn't say anything of that sort. He's saying, yeah, give me some food and whatever it is.
Yeah.
He's willing. So what does the Torah keep doing often? It shines the light, not on the firstborn,
right,
but on the younger one.
Right. From Ishmael, it shines on Yitzchak.
Cain and Hevel.
Cain and Hevel also.
Hevel
Right.
is the younger one. Okay, you have Ishmael and Yitzchak. Yitzchak is chosen.
Yeah.
You have Esav and Yaakov. Yaakov is chosen. Okay, then you have the 12 sons of Yaakov. Yosef is number 11. Later on, Yehuda is number 4. Okay, you have Aharon and Moshe. Moshe is chosen. Okay, later on, you have also David and his brothers. He's the youngest one. He has 7 brothers. He's the youngest one. David is chosen. Right? Then you have Shlomo. Shlomo is the youngest one. He's chosen. It's not about the birth status of who you are. That is what the Torah says. It's about your accomplishments, your potentials. You got the goods? Go ahead. Do it. And it also tells us something important when it comes to who we are as humans. Our status, or whatever titles we might have, doesn't mean anything unless we demonstrate that we earned that title. What did you do about it? Oh, the lineage of my family, they're all great people. In Judaism, who cares? Who cares what lineage you came from? Who are you as an individual? That is what the Torah is teaching us, and that is what the Chachamim also teach us at the same time. Because you've had lineages of people, right, that were as corrupt as you can imagine.
I mean, you have it with the Davidic dynasty.
Yep.
But they continued to remain as kings, even though the Tanakh exposes them as terrible kings. Majority of them.
Some were.
Most.
Half.
Right.
Half. It was really half, almost 50-50.
That were not so
Okay.
good and that were good.
Yeah.
Right, but you still had that lineage. You do.
But they're called out. See, that's the thing.
They're called out.
They're called out.
Okay. So even if there is that lineage, because I think that the Torah is presenting an ideal, and I think that it's an ideal that we've come closer to that ideal in our day and age. In Western culture at least, but in Middle East culture, the status of the firstborn is still regarded extremely high.
It is.
Right? And not just that, when it comes to lineage, and you have a dynasty of Chachamim, for example. Lineage does play a factor because you see that there is a chain coming from one to the next.
If they continued it. If they didn't continue it, well, guess what? Thanks to you, you broke the chain.
So you're saying the lineage is more like a fun fact than it is anything about a person's status and dignity.
Absolutely. Your status is determined on the choices and behavior that you make. That's your status. That is what the Torah is teaching us. Ish behet o yumat. In other words, every person is burdened on what they did in their life. It's on you. Everything, really, throughout the whole Chumash, I'm sorry, everywhere, okay? It strips away this idea of, oh, you're so great in your status and all that. God's not interested in that. He's interested in the behavior of the person, of the human being. What type of person are you? I don't care who your parents were. I don't care who your grandparents were. So what? If anything, well, I'm going to say this. Moshe has 2 children.
Yeah.
Right. Eliezer and Gershom. Okay. Who were their children? The Chumash doesn't say anything.
Right.
But if we look in the book of Shofetim, the book of Judges, we see that the grandson of Moshe, was actually somebody who was known to be an artisan of idols. And if we look at the Hebrew in the text when it mentions him as the lineage, his name was something, the son of one of Moshe's son, I think Eliezer, if I'm not mistaken, the son of Menashe. But the nun is small. This is the Chachamim added this in order to save face of Moshe, but it was really his grandson that was making these, very, very popular idol that the people were using. So what does that tell you? Okay, your grandfather Moshe Rabbeinu, he was wonderful, but you, what are you doing?
So this gets into a very big, this gets into a very big question. How much does a child's or a grandchild's behavior reflect on the parent? Because at a certain point, there is that crossover. Yes, up until a child gets to a certain age, the parent is responsible for them and their behavior, etc., and disciplining, yada, yada. And then once the child is 18, let's say 18, 16, 25, whatever, then it's on them, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's still in a way a reflection of the parents. It does come back to it.
We see that, and sometimes it's a mistake. If we know that the parents raised the child with no proper values, with no identity of who they really are, and they continue that, okay, yeah, it makes sense. And many times you also have those types of children who suddenly, oh my God, they discover who they are on their own, in spite of how their parents raised them.
Right.
That's fascinating. That's a wonder in the first place.
Right.
Right? But at the same time, you also have, many people who raise their children in a proper way, and then they completely are done. It's like they have nothing to do with it. It's like, where do they? You don't know who they are anymore. What happened? Well, who knows what happened? Maybe there's some dynamics in the family that we don't know what happened.
Sure.
Maybe this person was also in the wrong crowd, be it in school, be it in work, be it in society. There's so many factors. It's very difficult to pinpoint one thing as to the result, how we come out. Never. It's never that way. So far as we know it, the human brain, okay, is the most complex and complicated thing in this universe. And we happen to have one.
Okay.
We are extremely difficult to understand how we are, who we are, why we are, because our brain, whether we like it or not, whether we're conscious of it or not, okay, especially when we're younger children, we have no idea.
Sure.
It's constantly being stimulated all over the place, and it's hardwiring our brain. And then when we become adults, we behave in a certain way. And sometimes we ask ourselves, I had no idea. I don't know why I did this. Yeah, very often we're honest about it. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I snapped. I don't know why I did. Even if it's a good thing, I don't know.
You don't know where it came from. It just
something just moved me to do it. I don't know. Very often, it's something that's very deep hardwired in our brain as when we're children. So that's why it's very difficult to really say, oh, it's because of this, oh, it's because of that. So many factors, so many situations, so many experiences that are in the hundreds of thousands of stimuli we're getting every day. Certain things our brain hardwires, soft wires, or throws it away. And often we have no control over it. Often we really don't have control over this. Especially when we're young and teenagers.
Of course.
Especially then. That's why it's very important that good fundamental values are inculcated in children when they're young. This helps a lot because it helps orient the brain of how to process things, of how to also catalog things in the wiring itself. That's why among our people, the Tanakh, the Humash, was taught at the age of 5, if not earlier. Pesukim. What's the first thing a father teaches his son? Torah Moshe, then Shema Yisrael. Pesukim. Why verses? Because those things, they're repeated often. Those are the things that get wired in our brain.
They stick.
And they stick. And from 5 to 10, the Mikra, the scripture is learned and wrote over and over. Why? That is what is going to be used throughout the course of one's life as the tool of processing things. It's not out of nowhere that our sages came up with this. Of course, they didn't understand neurology the way we do,
right?
But definitely they understood this idea that the more you impress on the brain, the more it solidifies, the more you start thinking in those terms.
Right. It becomes your value system in a way.
Yeah.
Whether you're aware of it or not, it's something that you gravitate back towards.
Do you really think the Jewish people, when they're behaving so miserably in the Chumash, in the desert and before, and all these problems, do you think that they were really conscious of the fact that they were so hardwired the way pagans think and the way slaves think and all that? They weren't aware of this. They just say, this is who we are. Yeah, but Yeah, it's who you are. Why? Because of where you came from, because how you grew up, because how you felt yourself, because you're victims, because you're X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And we see this. Oh my gosh, we can definitely break it down to human behavior and psychology. And later on, when you have the next generation, which is resilient, they don't have that. They don't have those patterns at all. Nothing. They're their children? Yeah. Yeah, genetics, sure. The nurturing they got in the 40-year journey with Moshe, it's as if it's a different species.
Right. Right.
So that is what the Torah is trying to propel humanity to. It's trying to propel humanity to be more than what they think of themselves, even. With the value system, the values. Mishenantam levanecha.
Right, of course. Definitely. No, fascinating.